Phyllis, is she the villain, or does she deserve a little more compassion? We've seen Phyllis in some pretty questionable situations, haven't we? But let's be real for a second. She's not the only one with a sketchy past. And yet, she's always the one who seems to bear the brunt of it, don't you think? Let's start with the obvious. Phyllis has made some seriously messed up choices over the years. From framing Diane to literally running people over with her car, she's definitely no angel. But here's the thing, who in Genoa City is? Seriously, when you look around, Phyllis is just one of many characters who've had their hands dirty in one way or the other. Sure, she's made a lot of enemies, Sharon, for example. And we get it, Sharon has had her own moments of drama. She's no saint either. So why is it that Phyllis is treated like the ultimate villain while others get a free pass? Why does everyone feel like she's the one who should shoulder all the blame for everything that's happened? Now, Phyllis definitely has her flaws. She's a woman with a temper and sometimes her decisions are downright reckless. But let's be honest, so is Sharon. And I'm not saying Phyllis is blameless, far from it, but why is she the one who always gets called out? Maybe it's the way she carries herself. Maybe it's that, despite her faults, Phyllis is always unapologetic. And you know what? There's something kind of admirable about that. She doesn't pretend to be perfect. She owns up to her mistakes, even if she does try to shift blame once in a while. But that's human, right? I mean, let's look at what's happening right now. Sharon recently came clean of some serious crimes like dumping Heather's body in a river and trying to kill Phyllis by running her off the road. You can't just gloss over that. That's a lot of heavy stuff. And yet when Phyllis found out it was Sharon behind the wheel, it was like she hit the roof. The hypocrisy here is just astounding. We're supposed to feel sorry for Sharon, right? But when it was Phyllis who used a car to try and run people over, all of a sudden it's, oh, but that was different. Really? Come on, people. I get it, Phyllis is probably angry, right? Someone tried to run her off the road and yeah, she has every right to be pissed. If someone did that to me, I wouldn't just sit there and take it. I'd be flipping out too. But let's not forget, this is the same woman who's done some pretty shady stuff in the past. She's framed Diane for her crimes, and let's not even talk about all the time she's manipulated people for her own benefit. Does that make her less of a victim now that someone's targeting her? Absolutely not. But we can't just ignore the fact that she's not exactly innocent in this whole drama. And let's talk about her family. Oh boy, you can't tell me you've never seen Phyllis lose it when someone threatens her family. She's fiercely protective of them, and rightfully so. But again, we need to ask ourselves, does that mean she's entitled to do whatever she wants without consequences? Absolutely not. But she's not the only one who's had a family member caught up in the drama, right? So why does she always have to be the one to bear the weight of her past actions? Here's the thing though. No matter what you think of Phyllis, she's not a monster. She's just a woman who's made some bad decisions, like everyone else in Genoa City. Maybe she's done worse than most, but that doesn't mean we should write her off completely. But here's where it gets really interesting. Phyllis is actually kind of a fascinating character because even though she makes mistakes, she's never the one to back down. She's unapologetic, in your face, and always ready to stir the pot when necessary. And that's what makes her so frustrating, yet so intriguing. She's not someone who just fades into the background. She's a force to be reckoned with, whether you love her or hate her. And let's not forget how many times she's been on the receiving end of some pretty outrageous stuff. I mean, if we're talking about hypocrisy, let's just remember that Phyllis didn't have the easiest time when her family was being torn apart, and yet people still expect her to take the high road. After everything that's happened to her, her business, her relationships, her kids, Phyllis has been through the ringer. And yet she keeps on going, doesn't she? That's something we can't deny. She's resilient. Now, I'm not here to say Phyllis is some misunderstood hero because that's far from the truth. But I do think it's time to take a step back and really think about what's going on. We've seen so many characters in this show get away with some shady stuff, yet Phyllis is still the one who's painted as the villain. And honestly, I just don't get it. Yes, she's made some bad choices, but who hasn't? Why does she have to be the only one to constantly own up to her mistakes while others get to skate by? And let's not forget that Phyllis isn't the only one with a troubled past. Sharon has her own skeletons in the closet, and yet we're supposed to feel sorry for her after everything she's done. I get it, Sharon's been through a lot, but it doesn't excuse her actions either. She's made some pretty bad decisions along the way, too. So why is it that Phyllis always has to be the bad guy in the whole situation? In the end, we're all just human, right? We all make mistakes, we all have our flaws. Phyllis is no different. She's not a saint, and she's definitely not the devil. She's just a woman who's trying to get by like everyone else. Maybe it's time to give her a break and stop treating her like the ultimate villain. Because honestly, Phyllis has been through a lot, and it's about time we all gave her some credit for that. The Sharon storyline seems to be dragging on endlessly, doesn't it? It's been well over 5 months, and still we're stuck in the never-ending loop. Honestly, at this point, it feels like the plot is about to run out of steam, and if the writers don't wrap it up soon, things might get a little out of hand. Fans are already feeling the fatigue from this drawn-out saga, and the addition of Ian and Jordan to the mix certainly hasn't helped matters. You have to wonder, how long can this go on before it all comes to a head? With all the chaos surrounding Sharon, Phyllis, and the ever-expanding web of deceit, it's not looking good for some characters. I mean, Ian seems to be involved in every shady plot, but will Jordan eventually turn on him? She's been working alongside Ian, but we know her loyalty is fickle as they come. She could easily turn the tables on him, especially with how dangerous things are getting. If Ian doesn't tread carefully, he could end up in a situation similar to Jeremy Stark. Remember that motel room? If Sharon is exonerated and Phyllis finds out Ian was behind it, I believe she might kill Ian too, like she did Jeremy. The clock is ticking, and if the storyline doesn't end soon, the show might risk losing momentum. Sharon's still tangled in this mess and a web of enemies plotting around them. It's hard to say how it will all unravel. How will it all end? Will Phyllis be the one to settle the score? Maybe even with the same fiery vengeance she had for Jeremy? It's tough to predict, but one thing's for sure, the writers better start thinking about wrapping this up before we all lose interest. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you guys soon in the next video. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Until next time, take care.